Thanks everyone for being here. We hope at the end of this you're going to believe it's smart tech. I'm going to walk through some things that over the years, if you notice in the upper right-hand corner, what's the difference between that picture and the lower left-hand corner? Just in general. Technology. How many years of difference in those two photos? 700. In general, close to 100 years. So in the lower left, the one in gray, that's actually my grandfather and great-grandfather. And those folks had graded roads, maintained roads with horses. So they were really happy to not have to hook up horses anymore, and they could get on a 60 horsepower machine. Now when you fast forward and look at the one on the upper right, the air conditioning is a lot better, the efficiencies are a lot better, and the productivity is a lot better. But still, this is a journey. Everything that we're looking at now, through this presentation and things that are going to be happening in the next few ConExpos, are going to be light years ahead of the way you're doing things today. So then we jump up into the 60s. So this is a dramatic leap from the Caterpillar 60, pulling a tow type device. This actual bulldozer in the foreground has hydraulic cylinders on them, which again, from a technology standpoint, was leaps and bounds ahead of what we saw in the first picture. But what is the limiting factor when you're moving material, moving soils, rock, other things, when you're using the crawler tractor? What determines your efficiency? Anybody? The speed. What is the normal top speed for a crawler tractor? Now part of it, some people in the room don't know that answer, but there's certainly a few of you that know. 7 miles an hour in general. So even that machine in the background, that machine loaded coming down that hill is still not going to go more than 7 miles an hour. No matter how good the conditions are, no matter how good the haul road is, you're still not going to get any more efficiencies than moving at 7 miles an hour. What else when you look at the device that controls the scraper unit behind the crawler tractor itself? How does that drive mechanism get from the tractor itself to the scraper in order to move the pan up and down? Anybody here operated cable scrapers? Grayson has. Anybody else? Huh, okay. Well, I am one of the oldest ones in the room, but it was a great technology at the time. But when you broke those cables, the last thing you wanted to do is have to fix one of those cables. Mm-hmm. In that depiction, that's my father in the foreground and my uncle in the background. So then at the 1987 ConExpo, so this is another quiz question. How many of you folks here were here in 1987? The first time it landed in Vegas. That again shows how old I am. But in 87, this place was covered with articulated dump trucks. So in 1988, I was able to drive the first articulated dump truck sold in the state of Iowa to a job site. And that first job site we went to with those two pieces of equipment, some of the competitors showed up. And they watched and watched. They watched those articulated dump trucks. Their history was the crawler tractors pulling a tow type scraper. They came up to my relatives and said, "That's never going to work. We'll see you at your sale." 2 years later, after that event, my father called me up and said, "We're going to a sale in Northeast Iowa." It was one of those competitors that decided not to change from crawler tractors and move to rubber tire. Because what's the advantage when you move to rubber tire? Speed. And in general, it's at least 20 miles an hour, oftentimes 25 to 35 miles an hour. And that's quite a jump when you go from 7 or 8 miles to a rubber-tired propulsion system. So the reason that you guys are here to find something new, right? To do something different, whether it's yet this season or certainly by next season. And that's why we're presenting these technologies. So then jump ahead, the tow type scraper. So that had been very common over the years. Then the motor scrapers came on board, then articulated dump trucks, and the tow type scrapers started to go away. Then with the four-wheel drive tractor industry, starting in the late 70s, 80s, they went from 150 horse and then to 200 horse, then 250, 300, 400. You're going to see some tractors that are going to have incredible horsepower as you walk around the show the next couple days. But the tow type scrapers started to come back in vogue, but they were then being pulled by four-wheel drive tractors. And then thankfully in the agricultural industry, they started putting belts for the low ground pressure, and that worked out extremely well also in the tow type scraper industry. So then in this depiction, This is very early. This is now 5th generation of my family. Now he's standing in front of a 630 horsepower tractor. And again, as you look around the showgrounds, you're going to see some tractors that are in the 800 horsepower range. But at what point is there enough horsepower at the front? We talk about 100 years ago, there was 60 horsepower. And that was a heck of a leap, going from 1 horse, literally, to 60 horsepower. Now we're in the 600 to 800 horsepower range. How do we find something that's more in the mid-range, using a different tool rather than using the tractor motor at the front and that traction device in order to bring the material up into the scraper bowl itself? So if we walk back and start considering from the time we get information about a project, how do we put that project scope together and understand what those costs are going to be to put those costs in place and actually obtain the project itself? Are these all things you think about every day? Again, I'm 4th generation in this industry, and there's sometimes at night I wake up in the middle of the night wondering, why am I still thinking about this? But part of it is a love to be in the industry, to be in places like this and learn something new. But those of you that are not familiar with what's on this drawing, can the rest of you at the table help with what's on this drawing? The existing topography. So what it looks like before a job actually starts. Then the proposed topography with the building pad, the paving, and those kind of things. Now, when you're given that information as a company, how many estimators are actually in the room? A couple of you? So when you're given that information, do you have to do any manual takeoffs anymore? Are you actually digitizing that information, taping that down? What's that?
That's all we got.
Okay, so there is still some of that. Now in the Iowa market, it's almost never done that way anymore, and we've been very proactive as contractors to get the 3D file, and that's how most of all our takeoffs are done in that market. But once we have that information, and we're able to understand what it actually looks like, so what is depicted in the red portion of this on the left side of the slide? The cut. And what does the blue indicate? The fill. Is it that same in your other markets? Do you use any other colors other than that? Use green for the fill? Does everybody use red for the cut? And I've always told people, why do you use red?
We use varying degrees.
Degrees of that, yes. Yes, yes. And a lot of times more, I've seen it that way too, but why is the red cut? Okay, thank you. That's what I've told for years too, and I assume that's why everybody else does it. So that's an easy way to remember it. But in this depiction, you're able to look at it graphically. Now you understand the depth of your cut. That's going to determine the loading tool, whether that's an excavator, whether you're going to use a toad type scraper, a motor scraper, top load off-road trucks if you've got excess, whatever that might be, it determines what your loading tool is going to be in the red material. And then you look at what your haul distance is in order to determine how far it has to go to the blue area, and then determine the amount of hauling units that you're going to need. And then based on the material type in your space, because I talk about in the Midwest where we're typically 30 to 40% moisture content, we need to be down at 20% moisture content. And the gentleman that follows me, he has the exact opposite issue. He's trying to add water all the time. Where in the Midwest, we're trying to get rid of water, displace that water. So then the listing of quantities that come out. So even in the space that we're in now, what is the thickness of the topsoil in this area where we're at now? Here? No, yeah, it's going to be a lot deeper there. That's an Iowa job that I'm talking about, but out here it might be 2 to 4. And I don't know why you even bother putting it back on top when those of you that actually work in this space, but in the Iowa space, the biggest issue with topsoil is there's too much of it. A lot of times we only strip 6 inches, but a lot of times there's 12 to 18 inches of that material. It becomes difficult to find places to get rid of it within the job site itself. And then people that come from other spaces that don't have topsoil, they say, well, sell it to the person next door. Well, the person next door that's developing a site has the same issue. There's way too much topsoil, and how to get creative with getting rid of that material. Mm-hmm. So once you have that information, you're able to put together an estimate. You submit it to whether it's a general contractor or directly to a developer. You hope those cubic yard prices are reasonable. Now, in the areas that the rest of you guys work in, is your earthwork normally in a cubic yard price? Is it ever in tons? The next gentleman come up, it is tons in your market too? Okay. I was surprised with that too, but in general, I think most of the United States is cubic yards. But This is a video of some ag tech takeoff situations. And the future of that is going to be AI. Is anybody using AI for takeoffs currently? I'm assuming it's going to start more so in the underground utility side, where you can start counting fixtures and hydrants, manholes, and those kind of things, where it's going to be easy to recognize. But even when we talk about earthwork, it's really easy to understand what existing topography is and what proposed topography is. So I've got to believe in the future that it's going to be very easy to put that information in electronic format in front of AI, and it's going to be able to, within minutes, be able to spit out cubic yard quantities of your project that you're trying to price. Are there other systems besides AgTech that you use for your earthwork takeoff? Shout it out.
We use Trimble, PVC.
Okay, and you use that from start to finish? Okay, and I'm used to using the AgTech side for the takeoff and then moving to Trimble later on in the process.
Business Center will do your full takeoff.
Okay.
For you.
So this is a 700,000 cubic yard landfill cell. And what you're seeing in the foreground is the excavation of the new cell. That is in real time. So all the machines are being tracked in real time. So the advantage of this real-time technology is understanding literally while the project is going on, what your production costs are while it's happening. Because in general right now, in most contractors' offices, it's usually a week to 2 weeks after you perform an activity when you see what those costs are by the time it's entered from the field into the space, gone through accounting and all those different places, and you get the information back. But if you can actually understand in real time what your production costs are, and even if you happen to be making 10% that day, what can you change the next day to make 12? Or worst case, if you're losing 15%, what can you do the next day to only lose 10? And then try to get at least back to break even. But in the depiction in the foreground, where you see those red columns coming up, that's every spot that the excavator loaded a truck. And then if you see in the far background to the top right, that's where the material is being hauled to and deposited. So the same thing's happening in the dump zone. It's recording every time there's a dump event going on, and you can understand and then look back after the activity has taken place. You can look back at any time in the future and understand who are the most productive people that are loading material, what are the most productive operators using the haul trucks. If you have different types of machinery and haul trucks and units working on the site, you can then go back and analyze what are the most cost-effective units to use in that kind of space. But again, then this is just a graphical representation of that information. So you can go back and see who is your best operator and how do you take that person and that knowledge and use it to bring up somebody that's a less skilled, maybe it's somebody that's brand new to the operation and trying to understand it. I use it as the description of game film, the same reason that football coaches and basketball coaches use that game film to train their people. You can do that same thing with this type of technology.
This is an actual project that we finished. My name is Grayson Edwards. I'm with Global CM LLC out of Calhoun, Colorado. So this current project is called TA Travel Center. It's approximately a 32-acre site. My age, I've been in this for 40 years, and it's always been scrapers. The scrapers that we used to run, twin engines, very costly in fuel, high maintenance, very costly to fix. And so we wanted to do something different and be innovative. And so we went out and tried to find some way to move dirt in an easier way to make better profits. And what we found was the Smithco side dumps. Your load times are faster, your round time is faster, and you're hauling a whole lot more dirt. So we're moving approximately 60 to 65 tons in approximately 10 minutes in our rounds. It's really, really unique because we can hook up between any type of tractor with these pans, and we can dump left and right, and it just saves a tremendous amount of time because we can actually get very strategic on where we're placing dirt. It's getting harder and harder these days to find operators that can even run a scraper. So this way, it helps minimize the training time, the effort, the loss of productions if the machine goes down because of operator error. You can take an unseasoned guy, put him in the seat, and run these things, and the learning curve on a scraper is 100-fold. There's not a lot of moving parts with these, whereas the scraper, you got a tremendous amount of moving parts. These are very limited to how many parts are moving. It really is a cost benefit. It's a no-brainer. With the Smithco side dumps, you're moving so much more dirt and placing so much more dirt that because of that, we're able to keep our costs lower on bid. And because we're bidding this thing, we're more competitive against the bigger companies that have 30, 40 scrapers. So you're gonna see a lot of these bigger boys are gonna be going to this kind of system, I guarantee it. Because we got it figured out. The Smithcos have been a fantastic fit for us as far as making sure that we're profitable, making sure we're able to get the job completed on time. It's a big deal to me. It's something that, you know, I really get excited about because it's a product that is affordable, it works, and it moves a lot more dirt for a lot less money. So on this project, we're ahead of schedule because of the Smithco side dumps, and it's been a great fit for what we're doing right now.
My name is Grayson Edwards, a global CM out of Colorado. Been moving dirt all my life. I don't know anything different. Been laying utilities all my life. Don't know anything different with that either. But thoroughly enjoy it. I wouldn't be in it if I didn't enjoy it. But we certainly enjoy the work. This year I just passed 1 billion yards that I've moved in my career. That's a big milestone and I'm pretty proud of it. But anyways, what I'd like to do is talk to you about the practical side of moving dirt. We've got technology out the wazoo. You can do all kinds of things with technology, but technology isn't everything. It's also the application of the practical side of moving dirt. For years and years in my career, all we ever had to move dirt was with scrapers, big time scrapers. We ran 57s all the time. Some of you guys might run 21s, 23s. Some of you guys might run 27s, the twin engines. And by a raise of hands, who runs the scrapers? The big scrapers. Anybody? Okay. Does anybody in here do big mining? The big mine stuff? Okay. One. So if you are kind of new in moving dirt or wanting to approach yourself into this kind of environment, I highly recommend what we did to find some new ways, new avenues to move dirt. The interesting thing is when we did a 34-acre site, which is up on the video, we were running nothing but the big scrapers. And I wanted a different way to move dirt. Here's why. If you run scrapers and you have 10 of them on the job site, how many sit on the job site all the time with a full-time mechanic putting an in-frame or planetaries into one of those pieces of equipment? Anybody know what it costs of a brand new Cat engine and a 627 scraper costs an in-frame? Take a guess. 50 grand? Keep going. Okay, there's a guy that knows what it is. You're looking at $100,000, okay? That's a profit just gone out of your pocket. And I did not want that to happen. So I went in literally on Google and found a different way to move dirt. And one of the things that we found are the side dumps. We were able to get rid of all our scraper fleet. We went to the side dumps because we did the math. We found out that we can move dirt cheaper, the equipment costs less, and here's the other thing that was really important is the versatility. The versatility side of the way that we're moving dirt is no matter what it was on the job site, we were using the side dumps. Whether it was tree removal, stump removal, rock removal, we could use the whole thing. With the tractor and the two side dumps that we have, move more dirt faster, more efficient, and we can keep that on the job site without having to hire outside trucking. And outside trucking, I don't know about you, but in Colorado, outside trucking is $185 an hour for an endo. Anybody experience those high costs? And if you have a truck, you know what those costs are. So we wanted to find a way to be more versatile. The other thing is with versatility, on this particular job site, it had over 400,000 tons of road base. That's a lot. And so we wanted to import the material on site first, have it there in a stockpile, and then we moved all the road base with side dumps. Now you might be asking, well, why would you haul that material in and then have it in a stockpile? Spend the money to put it in a stockpile. Well, it's real simple. On a job that big, because some of you estimators may be experiencing those big projects, imagine having 50 trucks at a scale house at the same time. What happens? They sit there and wait. Who's paying that bill? You're paying the bill. You're paying it by the hourly fee, chances are. And then here's the other thing. Then you get it to the job site, and then what else happens? It gets jammed up. Then you have a cluster bang going on, and then you got a young kid out there trying to direct traffic, and he doesn't know what's going on. So it was cheaper for us to actually put it in a pile and then move it with the side dumps. It was an amazing thing. But here's another thing that I want to talk to you about. Profitability. Is there anybody in this room that doesn't like profit? I can't imagine anybody raising their hand, right? If you can put more money in your pocket without having to buy in frames for your tractors and figure out a way to move dirt less expensively and put more money in your pocket, would you be willing to listen to somebody that found a different way to move dirt, less expensive and more proficient at it? I think you would be. So we found the side dumps. The side dumps were a great fit for us. The assimilation for young operators was another aspect. These days in Colorado especially, now I don't know where you're from New York, talked to a couple guys from New York, Arkansas, but it's extremely hard to find young people that want to get into this industry. Very difficult. And then even then, if you found somebody that could run a scraper, he's all bent over because of his back, right? All tore up. Well, imagine if you could, you put a kid that's on a farm that can run a John Deere tractor because he's already used to running agriculture, and put him in the tractor. We had 19-year-old kids fresh out of high school running this system. We call them a train. You have the tractor and the two side dumps. And it was amazing to see these 19-year-old kids fresh out of high school running these tractors at 6th gear, wide open, 35 miles per hour. Eliminated a lot of the operator errors. Minimized operator training. You put a young kid in a 627 scraper and he looks at you like, I don't even know what this thing is, right? Imagine putting him in a tractor and all of a sudden your training time goes way down. Your time to spend with him to make sure he's safe goes way down because now he's in a tractor which is more designed for ergonomics of the operator and also for less stress in the end of the day. By the end of the day, the operator's wore out, tired, his productions go way down on scrapers. But with these tractors, they're ergonomically designed to be for long-term operation. Minimize repair cost. Again, anytime you have scrapers on a job site, they're highly expensive. I don't care if it's a 23, I don't care if it's a 21, a 27, 57. I just got tired of the big bills, to put in frames and planetaries in because these guys tear up my equipment. And I got really tired of that. It's just really, really expensive. It just chews up your profits. And increased efficiency, oh my goodness. So when I originally looking at the side dump operation, started doing some mathematics on what the manufacturer said that these things could actually move. And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, 65 tons is what we were averaging per round every 10 minutes. And those of you guys that are really good at math, do the math and figure out how many tons you're moving in a single day. That's a lot. With less equipment, less cost, more efficiency, and putting higher profits in your back pocket. Less moving parts. Anybody want to guess how many moving parts is on a 627 scraper? Take a guess. Hundreds. How many are them hundreds of parts costing you? Now listen, I'm not here to bash Caterpillar. There's a lot of guys out there like me, old school cat guy. 100% cat. We still run some cat. But here's what I'm saying is the operating cost to run a twin scraper is unbelievable compared to what we found to make it more profitable for us. And less moving parts. On the side dumps, you only have the axles, the rear tires moving, and the side dump itself. That's, if you have less moving parts, I mean, common sense says less money, less repair, less maintenance costs. Smarter solutions to the status quo. Been moving dirt all my life. It was always Caterpillar, right? Always the big scrapers. Because, be honest with you, that's how we moved dirt, and we did it very well. But the day that we have, with all the technologies and the new ways to function and move, mobilize dirt for projects, not only does it save the owner some money, but it also increases your profits for the project. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in making more money. And I found a better way to do it. Now, when, you know, at my age, it was a hard turn. I mean, it's a hard turn to go from a certain operation into a whole new operation that is totally different, and you got to rethink how you move dirt. And these days, there's different ways to move dirt better. Save money on maintenance costs, that's a big one. How many engines are on a side dump? Have you ever looked at the engines? Huh? There's 0 on a side dump, which means very low maintenance costs. You don't have to change oil in them. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about a transmission. You don't have to worry about fuel, all the stuff that goes with that. It's expensive. These things here are just absolutely low maintenance costs. If you have an operator that gives a darn, all he's gonna do is keep the grease in the machine, keep the grease in that side dump. It's real simple. Now, it's like anything, metal on metal needs grease, right? So if you grease them, take care of them like we do, they last you a long time, and we run them every day. And the other thing is we run these side dumps hard, really hard. So you can imagine you got 65 tons behind you on a tractor running 35 miles per hour. That's a lot. And I'm gonna tell you, these things wear very well. Well, Mr. Edwards, where's your proof that all this stuff works? How do you know that? This is where the rubber meets the road. Take a picture of it, help yourself. I ran the costs for you. Now, everything in Colorado is pretty much based on tons. There's a reason why I do tons instead of cubic yards. If you're an experienced operator, I'm gonna say something that you're gonna understand. If you're an owner of a company, listen. When you convert from a normal gradation of existing dirt out of your soil support, when you convert that to whatever that factor is going to be, that can change, your strata can change on a job site. And if you've ever moved dirt, you'll be cutting along there and then all of a sudden it goes to sand. Well, it changes your cut and fill quantities, your cubic yards, right? So if you're a really smart estimator, you capture that as much as you can, but it's never perfect. But if you convert that back to your tons, you're always going to capture the different stratas. Did you know that? If you didn't know that, get used to it. Start thinking differently about your estimating process, because it'll radically change how you're putting your jobs together, bidding your jobs. On the top are the side dumps that we ran. Now keep in mind, we ran all these. I ran all these scenarios. So at my expense, you get to share in what I found in cost savings on a project. We run the side dumps. We call it a full train, so that's the tractor and the 2 side dumps behind it. It's a strategically dumping left to right. You can turn left or right. Top load with an excavator, which is what we found. We load with, we've got 470 excavators that we load with at 10-foot wide buckets, 7 yards of swath, so you can fill them up pretty quick. But they're 36 tons each. Top load with an excavator. The cost for the whole train is what we spent, $566,100. Tons per hour moved, 216 tons. If you're really good at math, just multiply that times 1.6, that'll give you yards. Now here's something that's very important. Fuel usage, 6 gallons. We're running 9470R tractors. Everybody know what those are? Anybody seen those? Probably have them. And then here was our cost for 480,000 tons at $1.17 a ton. When was the last time you put a job together at $1.17 a ton? Anybody in here? Maybe the 80s, 80s, 90s? That's the reality. But here's some reality that we actually ran 2 years ago that just blew my mind of how we came out of this thing. Very profitable. Even with minor errors in the utility side of our business, minor errors and some equipment that just simply broke down, operator errors, the cost was still astronomically low. Here's some of the repairs that we had on this particular job. We had a hitch that broke. That was $5,500. Bucket teeth, pretty standard, 4 each for our 470 excavators. Colorado, I was talking to a couple guys that are around Utah. Lot of gravel, right? So teeth don't last very long in Colorado. We're in the Rocky Mountains. So we always bid our jobs with side bits and teeth or segments. 4 sets, total $8,800 to $14,300 was our repair cost. When was the last time you did a $10 million job and you had a $14,300 repair cost bill? Repair cost bill. Not talking about maintenance, repair costs. This is a reality. Contrary, look at the 627 cats. Again, I'm a cat guy through and through. If you're a cat rep, don't skewer me. I love Caterpillar. Okay, been running them all my life. But there's a difference in cost. There's a 627 scraper we run, 2 pairs, push pull, right? 627s push pull with a D10. Anybody run D10s with their push scrapers? 621s? Okay. What do you guys run?
We're just pushing 31s in Arizona.
31s, okay. Anybody push anything else? Okay. What's a dozer cost these days? Even a 1050 John Deere, what's one of those things cost? $1 million, $1.2 million. So if you have 2 627s with a push cat, what do you think that cost is? It's a bunch. Check this out. You can heap them up pretty dang good. Push cat, hooked, right? You're hooked. You can also top load them with an excavator. I've seen them top load with an excavator before in certain circumstances, all your scrapers. But your cost per scraper is $735,000 for one of them. I think we're all smart guys in here. If you're a business owner, you know what those things cost. That's just buying one. That doesn't include if you get a decent one that's got a good, it's good mechanically. Then if you put a push cat in there with a dozer and another 627, you're looking at $2.2 million, almost $2.3 million. Your tons per hour moved, 258 tons. Yeah, you can move a little bit more dirt, but is it worth it? And I would say it is not worth it. 2 scrapers is going to cost you 18.5 gallons per hour. Would you agree? Who runs those? I saw a couple hands. Would you agree with those quantities? At least 18.5 gallons an hour. So it costs to move 480,000 tons of material be $1.53. But here's the caveat. That's not bad. That's not a bad number, but here's the caveat. I also put a planetary in one of them. We put an end frame in one of them, a hydraulic pump, and an undercarriage, $435,000. Now let's look at off-road dump trucks. Anybody load with off-road dump trucks? A few of you. Okay. What do you guys run? John Deere's, Cats? Deere? What size? 7? Okay. All right. 30 yards, 40, 34 yards? Okay. All right. What's one of those things cost?
$800,000.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Lot of money, right? Lot of money. Individual dump truck works really well, maybe in a swampy situation if you're working around a pond or maybe working on a lake. Those things actually work pretty well there. You can top load them with an excavator. It's the only way you can load them. 33 heaped, top load with an excavator, cost per each, about $721,000 in Colorado. So $800,000 by the time you pay tax. And then Colorado, our illustrious governor likes us to pay an SMM tax that goes along with it every year. That's always nice. Roughly 198 tons, 8 gallons of fuel use, is about comparable to a John Deere tractor. $1.50 per ton. But here's what we ran into. We ran into transmission issues with our 762. We couldn't keep transmissions in them. They were overheating all of them. Don't know why. Very expensive. Anybody have any hydraulic cylinder failures on their trucks? We replaced 2 of them. Just kept folding. Pumps, undercarriage, or hydraulic hoses, lots of hoses. And then overheating, couldn't keep them from overheating. About $230,000 in damages. So anyways, the way that we found to move dirt has been something that I have spent a lot of time figuring out how to do more efficiently with less expense. And what we found is the side dumps. Now you're going to have a lot of opportunity to look at this type of equipment, but I highly recommend that you, if you're interested in more profits, to check that out. We actually run these things all day long. And here's the other thing: with these 2 side dumps, I run more dirt faster than with scrapers, because I can't find anybody who knows how to run a scraper. Anybody ever seen these scraper hands come in? They just roll board the whole thing because they don't know how to cut, right? And then what happens when that tractor stops? Is that making you money? Heck no, man. It's just costing you money every time that thing stops. With these, they don't stop. They stay running. And we have kids that are running these things, 18, 19-year-old kids right out of high school. So it just was a no-brainer for us. You can catch our YouTube on this whole thing. It's out there under Global CM Smithco. You have at it, take a look at it on the YouTube, and I welcome any questions. Oh, the other thing is, check this out. Here's what our investments are. We had our D10 push cat was $1.8 million. 621 scraper, $735,000, one each. Our Hitachi excavator, we've got 470s, I average that out, 371 each. But here's what's pretty cool too. Case makes a 9250, 9270. Look into the big cam engines. Cummins made a big cam engine, which is the top of the line engine as far as I'm concerned. And we also run those with our older case tractors. So some of our case tractors are $35,000 a piece. Most guys like me, we just write a check. $35,000, no big deal, right? We're in big dirt, we just write a check, pay for it. Scrapers, $700,000, a little bit different. So imagine you're running these pans with that kind of a tractor, and the pans, we call them pans or side dumps, are paid for those are $80,000 for each. Caterpillar motor grader, $458,000. I quit using motor graders on job sites. I know you're going to probably hang me after this meeting because everybody loves motor graders. I mean, they look pretty out there, right? They're all fancy. But here's the thing about a motor grader. Did you know a motor grader doesn't make you any money if all you're doing is cleaning up a haul road for a scraper? You think back in the old day, you had to run a scraper and bring the moldboard all the way forward and crowd it, so then that way you could use the scraper as a haul road. But it's amazing to me, companies, and even big companies like Ames and SEMA, all of a sudden, you see 4 or 5 of these things running out there, and they just do nothing but cost you money. I'm old school, and I'm thinking, well, that's the way we always did it. But the reality is, if you want to put more profits in your pocket, you got to figure out something different like we have to put those back into your pocket. And it's amazing to me when you can find this equipment at lower cost to do the same amount of effort and move more dirt more efficiently, and you do it that way. And it's amazing to me how you really do put more money in your pocket, and you own the equipment at the end of the job. It's yours. Pretty powerful stuff. But anyways, if anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask. Feel free. I'd like to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Have you ever compared running just one of those side dumps with the tractor against say a 35 ton articulating truck?
Yes.
And it's still
outperformed. Okay. Yes, sir. And it's just amazing how much material you can get into them side dumps. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
It's a lot of material fast.
I saw this on one of the publications, construction we did. We're doing a new golf course in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I watched your YouTube, and it doesn't have that very slag. So I sent it to my dirt mover down there.
Yes. Yep.
He's set his way. So.
I get it. I get it.
Do they make them in different sizes?
They do.
What's the smallest one?
What, a 20? I think a CP 20, but we're running the 30s. And also, and I'm not here to sell anything, okay? I'm just telling you what we use to make things work. But what we found is we went literally over the United States to try to find a way to move dirt cheaper and more efficiently. And this is what we found. And it was just, and it worked for us. And I'm gonna tell you, if it works for us, and if you guys have any questions and you want me to come in and talk to you guys about this, I'd be happy to come and meet with you guys and talk to your people if you decide to get into this side of it.
We do a lot of work in Colorado.
Okay, all right. And by the way, this was a TA, so if you're in Colorado, we did the TA Travel Center down there in Pueblo, Colorado. Okay. SEMA was doing a big thing for CDOT down there right next to the job site. And they brought 12 of their VPs down from Denver to come to our job site to see this happen, because they had never seen it in their life. So guess what's going to start happening? Yeah. Yep. So we just figured it out, and we're the only guys running these in Colorado right now. That's it. So we just figured it out.
Should have kept it a secret.
Man, I'm old. I'm getting ready to vominos. So I'm almost 60, and I'm going to be, whoop. Yes.
What's the overall length of the two trailers and the tractor?
I'm going to say probably around 42, 45 feet. Here's the other thing too. What I would also recommend is if you're interested in getting into this, and let's say you're just small and you're wanting to just kind of build on this a little bit. What's the beauty of this is you don't have to buy two of these. Buy one. Try it out, because they're different. So you got a front pan and you got a rear pan. Buy the front pan, and then you can always add that rear extension on later. Don't buy a rear one, because you won't be able to do that. Buy a front pan for the expansion of your company, and run the one single pan and try it. Yes, sir. And then, yes, sir, and yes, sir. Hold on.
I missed the first part. How many tons of just a sandy level blade is each trailer?
30 to 35. Yep. So we were, if you do the math, we were running 65 tons per round, and we were doing 10-minute rounds. That's the load time, that's the dump time. So that's a lot of material in one single day. A lot of scrapers to match that also. Yes, sir, I'll get with you. Yes, sir.
How do you deal with like making a topsoil pile? Is it tough to get those things off the pile and dump it and make a new pile?
Glad you asked that question. Has anybody ever cleared a 32-acre lot with excavators? Maybe one. We got rid of our motor graders. I don't even run motor graders anymore. Amazing. The reason we did is because when we do topsoil, we run our 470s down with our big buckets, and then as we kind of windrow it up, and then we step over to the next section, windrow that up, and then we either load it as we're doing it, if we have enough material, or we just work it as we go with the side dumps. Works out real well. Now, if you have a small bucket on a small machine, I probably wouldn't recommend that, but you probably want to use a loader. We use loaders all the time in Colorado. When I was living in Iowa, we used 953s, 63s, 73s, cats, but however you choose to pick it up. But everything in Colorado is wheel loader. You can imagine having to run a track machine over rock. It's a little different. Okay, there was a, yes, sir.
That was my question. So, Montana, I'm in Northwest Montana.
Okay.
Where I'm from, that's potato there. That looks like topsoil with me, I know it's.
Yeah, I know.
There ain't a damn rock in on that slope or anywhere there. Have you ever compared it, have you had it being rock, mixed material, sandy bottom, stuff like that?
Yes.
Have you ever had that comparison?
Yes. So, you know, anytime you load rock or concrete in there, right, your factors go up, right, because it's more void in a tub. So your tonnages go up because you're running it that way. But yeah, we like riprap. We've run riprap with these. We've run aggregates with them. In Colorado, is much the same way. No topsoil. In fact, a lot of that stuff we peel up looks like the cut material that we're taking off the job site. There's just not a lot of topsoil.
I was meaning more the cut going in the bowls. And when you're dumping it, I can see out a disc or something there,
Yep.
probably wet material or clay or something.
Disc.
How do those run? Do you need a blade again, or you need something, or a VG to get rocks off the road, or do those things just bounce over the rocks and keep moving?
Keeps trucking, buddy. Yep. So those tires on those side dumps are designed to, you know, really go over heavy terrain. The other thing is that we found, we've done some wetland mitigation. These float over, you know, like swamps in Louisiana. I mean, they just float right over it. So the other, here's something else that's very important that we found. The side dumps can be used for compaction. Does everybody have to meet a certain compaction in your state? Okay, 95, 98, modified, whatever it is. So with these, we fill them up, and the tires are so big, and you would think, well, you know, I mean, common sense would say, well, you're going to float over all that, and it's not going to compact. But if you imagine you got 65 tons running in those pans over the type of dirt that we deal with in Colorado and perhaps Iowa, you get your compaction with just running in pans. So now we don't run our cat was 815. We don't even run that anymore. I sold it. I don't need it. We just meet our compaction with the pans. Yes.
So you say you don't use a motor grader anymore. What are you using for finish grade?
Great question.
Finish?
So we use a disc and water, right? We have to have a water truck, and we have a water tower on site that we pull. It's a 12,000 gallon water tank tower, excuse me. So we do have to add the moisture, and the way that we get our moisture for our densities is we run a disc. And the disc that we run is a tattoo. Anybody heard of tattoo discs? They're probably one of the best dirt working discs that we run. What's that? Pretty close, yeah. The reason we're gonna run the tattoos is because the harrows on them are over 18 inches instead of the standard 12 and 14s. So the harrows get deeper and faster. So they, you know, and on some of the discs we used to use, the planes would go out this way, but on the tattoos it's raised and lowered by the hydraulics. So you don't have all that stuff moving anymore. Again, I was just looking for ways to eliminate a bunch of extra cost. But as far as answering that question, we run that disc. When those side dumps are laying that material down, we run that disc in the water right over it, and it planes that out. So we don't have to run a motor grader across that to get it nice and smooth. We're hitting our compaction every time. We're getting our moisture in there. The disc is getting it, and that takes care of all that effort. Okay, I'm being told let's jam it down. So, but listen, I am available for talk. You guys have questions about our operation, I'd love to share it with you, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.